welcome to the second class of the digestive series, and in this class we are going to focus on the heart and small intestine organ pairing. So this is the yin and yang organ pairing, and the heart organ, as you already know, is located inside the chest cavity, but just as a reminder, it is about the size of a human fist. It is a muscle, and its primary function is to send oxygenated blood throughout the body. And the small intestine, which is not necessarily close to the heart physically speaking, but energetically speaking it is, the small intestine is located in the center of the abdominal cavity, and its primary function is to sort and discard waste that is not useful for the body. This organ is the primary organ of digestion, one of the most important and extensive organs of digestion, one of the primary organs. And it's sort of interesting that if you are not able to, discard what is not useful inside your system, it is very difficult to manifest that on the emotional or physical plane in your outer world. So if your inner world doesn't know how to discard, your outer world is not going to be able to do it either. So we want to fix what's going on inwardly to be able to manifest outwardly. So they do really work together, the yin and yang. So what are we going to do today? We're going to focus mostly on the upper body. So while yin practice does primarily tend to focus on the lower half, since we are working with the heart and the small intestine, we are going to be focused on the upper half. So you can actually just get started, and for this I had mentioned you're going to need a blanket, so you can use a towel, which of course I don't have right in front of me. So you can fold it long ways. Yes, this is a Dominican Republic towel, one of my best tourist purchases. So you can fold it long ways and then fold it in half short ways. And then you're just going to start to roll it as small and tightly as you possibly can upwards, so you can try to smooth out any wrinkles, but it's really not too big of a deal. Now, if this is too thick for what we're about to do, you can just unroll it as much as necessary, but try to start as thick as you can and make sure that you don't eat before this practice. So we're going to start with a little trick that you can do on your own, whether you're in a yoga practice or not, and you're going to lie prone down onto the floor, onto the mat, with this rolled up blanket pressing directly into your lower abdominal. So if you are able to locate those two little hip bones at the front of your body on the top of the iliac crest, you will want to snuggle the blanket directly above those little hip bones, just right into the lower abdominal. So this is an intense stimulation of your small intestine. And it's normal if you start to feel some pulsing. That can happen, and that's okay. So you're going to stay here in a Sphinx pose, and when you start to feel comfortable enough, you can lower the upper body down, place the forehead on your stacked palms in crocodile pose with this blanket rolled up, pressing into your abdominals. And I'm going to get the timer set up here. While you're here, just get quiet, close your eyes, and we'll just stay here for about 3 or so minutes. Become more aware of your breath. Try to soften the entire body around this pressure. Releasing the back, releasing the chest, the sides of the neck, the jaw. And really feel the sensation. And notice if this starts to dig up any kind of emotions or any kind of particular sensations in the body that might be foreign to you, or that might bring up some nostalgia. I know for me, this particular posture really brings up a lot. And I don't quite know what it is. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but it's definitely a trick that brings a lot to the surface. See if you can surrender more, and remembering here the tenets of yin. So you'll find your particular edge. You'll resolve to be still, and then you'll hold the posture for some time. Our postures today are anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. And then do your best to completely surrender and let go of any resistance to the pose. So we have just about 30 more seconds here. Softer. Quieter. And as you inhale, just slowly start to lift your forehead off of your palms, coming into a Sphinx pose again with your belly still resting on the towel. And now press into the palms and start to walk them back. Lift and rise onto your knees. And now you can slip the blanket over to one side. And you'll bring your knees directly underneath of your hips, and we'll come into a posture called melting heart, where you'll extend your arms forward and you'll drop the forehead down to the mat. And you're going to focus on letting your chest fall down towards the floor. Now, if this starts to feel too intense on the face, you can always bring your chin to the mat. If your mat's clean, you can bring your mouth to the mat. Or if this is altogether too much, you can stack your forearms and bring your forehead to the mat and just let your chest reach down and soften down as your hips rise. And it feels a little crunchy on the neck and the shoulders, I know. So constantly remind yourself to draw your shoulders back and get nice and broad and open in the collarbone. And just breathe into the belly. Fill the lungs, fill the chest, surrounding the heart with oxygen. So as you're lying here, well, as you're deepening yourself into the melting heart pose, I'm just going to slowly get out of it, but please stay where you are. And the heart meridian begins in the heart, and then it splits in 3 separate directions. So one of the channels runs downwards through the diaphragm to the small intestine. Another channel goes upwards through the throat, behind the tongue, and up to the eyes. And then the third channel crosses the chest, comes to the inner arms, both inner arms, runs down the insides of the arms, and finishes at the little finger, the pinky finger. Now the small intestine meridian starts at the pinky finger, and it rolls up to the outside of the arm, to the outside of the shoulder, where it splits into 2 branches. One of those branches goes down the heart through the diaphragm through the stomach to the small intestine. So it's following the same trajectory, and it's very close in position to the heart, to one of the heart meridian branches. The second branch of the small intestine meridian runs up through the neck to the corner of the eye, and then makes a little bit of a diamond shape over to the outer ear and sort of across the cheek. So when we come into a twisted child's pose later on in this practice, you'll also be stimulating the sides of the face, which stimulate the small intestine meridian. So you have just under 2 minutes left here. So if you have the option to extend or deepen or lengthen this posture, please do so. Just tune inside and notice what's going on. What's happening inwardly is a really great reflection of what's happening outwardly. So since both of these organs rule the blood, it also rules and dictates your ability to stay still and to be comfortable in stillness. And when you think about it, when your blood is rushing really quickly and there's adrenaline flowing through your blood, it's very hard to remain still. And the more we regulate that and soften that, the easier it is to be comfortable in your own space and in your own stillness. So these two organs help to regulate that. So now, if your arms aren't already extended, just extend them out in front of you, and now press into the palms so you can lift your chest up off the mat. And you'll slip your right arm over to the left side and soften down onto that right outer shoulder and that right ear. Now, if this is too much for you, you can place your right ear on a block. We'll just stay here for a couple of minutes, not quite 5 minutes. This can be rather intense, and if it's not yet, it does intensify quickly. So keep your awareness on your breath and always remind yourself to let go. If you feel that desire to tense or to grip, allow yourself permission to remain soft in this pose. So when you have an imbalance in the heart and or small intestine organs, or blockages in the meridian channels, or tightness and inability to create moisture in the fascia, you'll run into some digestive issues naturally. And this is related to the fact that these organs are connected to the fire element. So anything that generates too much heat needs to be balanced out with a cooling practice. So the more heat you generate, even in terms of what you eat, if you eat a lot of spicy foods, or if you find yourself outside in the blazing sun very often, this could affect these organs, and this can affect your digestion. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stop what you're doing, but it does mean to step back and try to find a balance in what you're doing. So we have just about 30 more seconds here. So the Imbalances can also lead to hardened arteries, to varicose veins, and to forgetfulness, especially in relation to the small intestine. You can slowly start to lift up, extend the right arm straight, and now slip the left arm over to the right side. Keep your hips stacking directly over your knees, and now soften the left side body down to the floor. Well, the left shoulder and the left ear, and your right arm extends, or you can just press your right palm into the earth to bring you some stability. And again, close your eyes. Left palm can be facing up or down, whatever feels natural and organic for you. And you can picture the outside of the shoulder and the outside of the arm is where the small intestine meridian runs up from your little finger. So this is a heavy stimulation on that energy channel, which will help to remove any blockages. And of course, you're also loading pressure onto the shoulder joint, which will help strengthen and moisturize those ligaments and joints and connective tissues. So aside from digestion, if you ever feel anything in your shoulders, this is also these are really great postures to hang out in for a little bit. So you have about 1 minute left here. Now, aside from the physical imbalances, so the arteries, you could also experience poor circulation. You will also probably notice some emotional or mental imbalances that can extend from imbalances in your digestion. So feelings of sadness, feelings of desperation, the inability to really feel happy, not necessarily this doesn't mean that you're going to feel all of these things if you have the imbalance. It's different for everybody, but you know, it's worth exploring all of the different side effects that these imbalances can have. So now slowly lift the chest, extend the left arm straight out in front of you. Just stay here for a moment with your arms extending, and now bring the elbows down to the mat. Extend the legs back behind you as slowly as you can, and bring your feet about the width of the mat, and we'll come here into a Sphinx Pose. We'll stay here for a little less than 5 minutes. So trying to keep the chest proud, and you'll feel a bit of stimulation in the lower back as well, and that's okay. If it starts to intensify too much, you can try modifying by bending the knees. So sometimes if you bend the knees and flex the feet, this can help. This can also intensify for others. So if you do feel a little too much crunching, you can lightly engage your glutes, or you can settle down onto the elbows and bring your hands to your forehead so it softens that blow on the sacrum or the sacral area. So up to you. All different options depending on how you're feeling today. Whatever you're gripping, let go of. Eyes are closed. Feels better to drop the head, you can drop the head forward. So of course, when these channels and organs are balanced, you'll feel more vitality, more joyful, full of life. I cut off here, sorry. happy, your memory, especially your short-term memory, will be sharper. And your digestion will flow more organically, more easily. So we're about halfway through, a little more than halfway through. Ask yourself if you'd like to intensify this posture. If so, you can bring your hands to the corners of the mat, flipped out like flippers, and extend your arms straight into seal. And here you'll really be pressing those as-is bones, the front of the hip bones, into the floor. Work your shoulders down the back, chest is proud. Try not to grip. Try to release the muscle tension. Just trust this posture. Trust the journey. Soften your jaw. A little less than 1 minute to go. Follow the journey of your breath. And if you're in seal, drop your elbows down to the mat. If you're in Sphinx or seal, bring the palms stacked one on top of the other and drop your forehead down to Crocodile Pose. And we're going to come into a posture known as broken wing. And broken wing is a pure heart and shoulder opener. You may have even done this in a vinyasa flow before. So I'm going to scooch over so you can see a little bit better. I'm very close to my wall, so it's sort of hard to see, isn't it? Okay, so I'll come on a diagonal. You're going to extend your right arm off to the right with your left ear down onto the mat, because I want you to make sure that the wrist, elbow, and shoulder are all in line with one another. Now, with the right palm facing down, place the left palm down into the mat, and you're going to roll onto your right side body. Your right ear can be on the floor, or you can stack a book or a block or a pillow under it. Bend the left knee, and you're going to send the left foot back behind you. Now, if your neck is feeling crunchy, you can also slip your left hand underneath of your neck. So you just want to make sure you can see me completely. So the right arm's extended. You're stacking left side body on top of right side body. Place the left foot behind you, and you're applying pressure onto that right shoulder. So we're going to stay here for about 4 minutes. So find your edge, but be mindful of what your edge is. And if you're here and this doesn't feel intense enough for you, another thing you can do is bring your arm into 90 degrees. Just do it like this so it makes more sense. 90 degrees, and then you can do the stacking, and that will intensify the pose. Otherwise, keep it straight, extended off to the right side. And just breathe. Start to travel inward with your awareness. And sometimes when I'm feeling a very intense posture, instead of that feeling of, oh, I need to get out of this, I need to get out of this, think about, that's what it feels like to be in broken wing for 5 minutes. Maybe you don't like it, or maybe you do like it, but try to ignore that part. Ignore the judgment of the pose. And skip the judgment and just observe what it actually feels like. Where can you let go a little bit more? Are you clenching your left foot? Are you clenching your jaw? Your thighs? Anything? Where can you get softer? So we're more than halfway. We have about 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining. Maybe you can roll your chest up a tiny bit more. Maybe you can wrap that left upper rib cage back. Less than 1 minute to go. Keep breathing. And now ever so gently, roll back onto the belly and just lift the chest, slip your forearms in front of you into a Sphinx. And now we'll extend the left arm, tee it off to the left, soften the right ear down to the mat, make sure that the left wrist and elbow and shoulder are in line. And now turn your gaze over to the right side. Press into your right palm so you can rotate the right side body on top of the left side body. Pick up the right foot. Bend the knee and place the foot down on the mat or floor behind you. And then you can slip the right hand underneath your left ear if you want to, or use a pillow like before. And just breathe here. And start with a body scan. Noticing everything, all of the sensations going on from the crown of the head through the tips of the toes. Finding any place in the body that's holding on. And giving it this time to just dissolve. What is your breath doing? Can you follow that journey? And maybe there's a little bit of a pulsing sensation in the shoulder and the chest. And just welcome it and observe it. All of these sensations are normal human body sensations to have. Always come back to soften the neck and the jaw and the face. We have about 1 minute 30 seconds remaining, so if you can let go more, wrap the right rib cage back more. You'll feel a pinching sensation in the left shoulder blade, and that is okay. Pinching is okay, pain is not. Remember that the heart, one of the 3 branches of the heart meridian run the inside of the arm through the inside of the shoulder. So this is an intense stimulation on those channels. Couple more seconds here. You've got about 20 more seconds. And now slowly start to roll back onto your belly, coming into a crocodile pose. And now slipping your hands to the sides of the shoulders. Press your hips back towards your heels in a child's pose, and then shimmy the knees out wide and bring the big toes to touch. You're in a widely kneed child's pose, and we'll come into a child's pose twist. So remember, we're coming back to that stimulation also of the cheeks and of the sides of the face, where the small intestine meridian resides. So, slip the left arm over to the right side, left ear down to the mat. Just sweep that right arm back behind you, shimmying your fingertips onto the top of the left thigh. And we'll just hold here for about 2 to 3 minutes. Let your body get softer. Relax the jaw. Take a body scan and notice where you feel this posture the most. And observe what the sensation is like. How do you know that you feel this posture the most in a certain part of your body? What exactly does that feel like? Softly begin to slip your right hand off of the lower back and bring the right palm to the mat. And now gently rise. And we'll bring the left palm to the mat and slip the right arm over to the left side. Sweeping the left arm back behind you and snuggling your fingers on the top of the right thigh into the hip crease. Eyes are closed and breathe. So I don't know if you've taken my other heart class before, but in one of my heart opening classes I mentioned one of the coolest facts I've ever learned, which is inside of your heart, well, are, many different compounds, and the heart pumps the blood from throughout your body, and inside the blood are some of these compounds that come from your heart, and one of those compounds is called HemA-B, and inside of HemA-B there's a single atom of iron, and there are, thousands, millions, trillions of these that run throughout your body, and this single little atom of iron is what the oxygen binds to in order to, go on its circulation throughout your whole system. So without this little, without the iron, the oxygen won't have anything to stick to, and it won't be able to go through your system, and you will obviously not survive without it. So the oxygen only comes from one source, and that source is when a star explodes, and it's known as a supernova. It's a violent death of a star. It releases all these different elements into the atmosphere, and one of those elements is iron, and this is where we get the iron that runs through our body to bring the oxygen through our bodies to survive. So we are quite literally made of stars. And you can fact check that. You have about 30 seconds left. In my next life, I'm going to be an astrophysicist, but I don't know if I have time in this one. And now slowly unravel and meet me in a regular old child's pose with the arms extended straight, the toes are touching, the knees are extended wide to either side of the mat. Just breathe here for a bit. How soft can you get? And now gently rise. And you're going to bring the knees about hip width apart. And you may need to use a prop for this, but you may not. So we're coming into a supported camel. Your hands are going to come behind your feet about 2 to 3 inches if that feels okay for you. You'll have to experiment depending on your body. And you're going to lift your hips up and roll your shoulders back. If this is too much or it causes you to engage too many muscles, you can lower your hips down to your heels and just puff the chest up. So it's up to you. Notice if it causes too much gripping, if you're rising, if you're lifting your hips up off of your heels, if there's too much engagement of muscle, it's not necessary to have the hips lifted. All we really want is the chest lifted. Shoulder blades gather together. And you will start to feel sensation in your wrists and in your arms and even in your neck, and that's okay. But if you do feel it too much in the neck, you can tuck the chin forward or you can drop the head back if that's something that feels good to you. I like to keep my neck in line with my spine. And if you start to slowly collapse the chest down, which is, completely normal and understandable, just gather your biceps back together behind you so that the heart rises a little bit more. You puff up a little bit more in the chest. And breathe. So we won't be here too long, about 2 more minutes. And again, if you feel any kind of, cramping in the neck, just tuck the chin or let it drop back, whatever works. But always find that nice proud chest, broadness, extension and opening of the collarbone. Think about wrapping the shoulder heads back and gathering the scapula together. Listen to your breath. It's a great shape to really watch the rise and fall of your chest and your belly while you breathe. Awareness to the jaw. About 30 more seconds here. So lift the sternum a little bit higher. Take deeper breaths. When you're ready, slowly start to lift on up, come to a seated stacked spine. Stay here for a moment. Get soft. Let your pelvic floor drop. If your eyes are closed, just flutter them open for a second. So from here, we're going to come into a spinal twist. No, actually I lied. We're going to come into a reclined heart opener. So you will need 2 blocks or a stack of pillows or a bolster for this. So whatever serves you. Here I have my pillows, but I also have my blocks. So you can see which one works better for you right now. The first block is going to come snug underneath the bra line, underneath the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades are literally going to hook over that block. And then the second block is going to come behind the head at its tallest height, just at the very bottom of the skull. And then the soles of the feet will come together in a butterfly pose. Arms can be out in a T or resting softly by the sides of the hips. And we'll just hang out here for a little bit in a supported reclined butterfly. Now again, if you don't have blocks or if you want it to be a bit softer and cozier, you can always use a bolster behind you. So the bolster will come to the bottom of the sacrum. And then however your pillows are stacked, you're simply going to round back. Your arms can extend back behind you if you're on bolsters and that feels good, or you can tee them out to either side. And just breathe. Eyes closed. Keep getting softer. Letting the chest open. It's also inadvertently stimulating posture for your throat chakra. So your chakra of communication as well as your heart chakra. And this actually is a really nice stimulant of nearly all of your chakras. This is also very stimulating for other meridians in the body, such as the urinary bladder, which runs the outsides of the legs, the liver, the lungs. While we're here with the heart opening, let's work on a little bit of breath retention. So take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Now take a deep, full breath in and hold at the top of the breath. Completely soften your body around the hold. And now through the nose, slowly with control, empty, empty, empty the breath out until there's absolutely nothing left. Hold the breath out. Relax around the hold. Take a deep breath in, fill the lungs, fill the chest, fill the belly. Hold it in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe it out through the nose until you're empty. Hold it out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in. Hold it in for 5. Get really soft in the face. Make sure you're not clenching any of the facial muscles. 2, 1. Breathe it out. Get light. Get empty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one, deep breath in, make it deeper than any of the other inhales you've taken. Hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Empty yourself. Hold it out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now breathe in and breathe out. Bring your hands to the outsides of the thighs and now draw your inner thighs back in together. And now whatever you're on, roll over to the left side so you can roll off of the blocks or you can roll off of the bolsters. And you can slip them off to the side because we won't be needing them in this next posture. So the next posture we're going to come in, you can actually stay lying on your backs. You're going to hug your knees into the chest just for a moment. And now bring the knees down, bring the soles of the feet down to the mat so that the knees are bent. And you're going to first scoot your hips over to the right about 1 to 2 inches. Let your knees fall over to the left. And now extend the right leg straight out so that the knees are stacking. You're going to sweep the left arm back toward the top of the mat. And then if it's available, reach down with your right hand and take a hold of your left foot. So this posture is called cat pulling its own tail. So you're stimulating the arms, the heart, the outer hips. We'll stay here for just about 2 minutes. Back to the soft inhale and exhale. And when the eyes are closed, bring your awareness to the shapes and the colors and the light and patterns that naturally form behind your eyelids. How long can you stay engaged with this little movie behind the eyes? It's a really nice meditation tactic. Start to wander, just watch the colors. If you have a grip on the left foot, slowly release that grip. And now bend the right knee so that the knees are stacked but lying off to the left side. And now draw the knees back up through center, both arms down by the sides. And now pick up the hips and slide them a couple of inches over to the left side. Drop your knees over to the right. And now extend the left leg straight. I can't because I'm at the wall. And the right arm reaches back behind you. And if you have the ability, take the left hand to grip the right foot. Grip isn't the word I want to use, but to lightly hold on to with the left leg extending off to the right side. So you're getting the added bonus of a little bit of an IT opener here, but mostly working a very gentle twist of the lower body and an opening of the upper body. And we'll be here for 2 minutes. Follow the journey of your breath. When you start to wander, connect with that blood flow, with the energy flow, and the sensation of that flow. What does it feel like inside your body? Gently release the grip of the right foot, stack the left knee on top of the right knee, and now bring the knees back up towards center. If it feels good to you, you can hug the knees in toward the chest or bring the knees outward toward your armpits with the big toes connected. And with the eyes closed, extend one leg, extend the other leg. Meeting me in a Shavasana. And I will leave you here to enjoy your Shavasana for as long as you like. So thank you for sharing your practice with me. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.